Good evening, everybody. My name is Cameron Kaufman. I'm the Vice President of the Buckley Program. And before I talk a bit about how the program has affected my experience at Yale, I'll just introduce this upcoming segment. So 4 fellow students and I will each be talking about our personal experiences with the Buckley Program, how it has affected our lives, and how it has affected Yale's campus culture. So quite honestly, much of the time that I personally have spent in the Buckley Program has revolved around my work in a position that may be the vice presidency, but I lightheartedly refer to it as the bureaucrat-in-chief. I send a lot of emails, I read a lot of applications, and I deal with a lot of Yale administrators. However, a few weeks ago, I got quite a reward for all this work. I got to bring Governor Jeb Bush to my seminar, I got to sit next to him at lunch, and I got to lead him on a tour of campus. And this time with Governor Bush embodied all that is great about the Buckley Program. I got to see him debate some leftists in my history seminar on communism. At lunch, we discussed the conclusions from our favorite book, which coincidentally is Dr. Murray's Coming Apart. And on my tour, I got to bond with him over our mutual love for President James Garfield. So it was a day of intellectual rigor and exposure to ideas that are often so absent from Yale's campus. My time with Jeb was more than enough a reward for my work with this program. I'll just say that one word that comes to my mind regarding the Buckley Program is gratitude, a value that Buckley himself prized. I could not be more grateful to all of you who have given us a chance to be exposed to intellectual diversity, to debate with the best minds, and to fight for free speech on campus. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Pranam Day. I'm a senior here at Yale, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about why I decided to join the program. It's been 4 years that I've been a Buckley program now, and I've spent 2 years serving on the student board, so I thought it's time for a little bit of reflection before I graduate this May. So I joined in the fall of my freshman year, or I'm sorry, the official term is now first year. We can no longer say freshman. That's been verboten on campus. Anyway, so my freshman year, if you'll excuse me for that misspeaking, the Buckley program hosted Ayan Hersil Lee to speak on campus after she had been recently disinvited from giving a commencement address and receiving an honorary degree at Brandeis. The announcement of her invitation, as shouldn't surprise any of us, was greeted with immediate response, immediate protest from all the usual left-wing protest groups at Yale, and we do have perhaps more than our fair share of those. I didn't know much about her at that time. After all, it was my first year at Yale. But I did think that, whether you agree with Ayan Hersil Lee or disagree, I thought you might learn something from perhaps going to the event, hearing her speech, engaging with her conversation. She had promised an extensive Q&A. Perhaps if you disagreed with her, this could be a good chance to ask some questions, maybe get some clarification. God forbid, you might just learn something. Couldn't have that, of course. But I was grateful to see that the Buckley program, which I just first heard about through this speech, sort of adopted the same values that I held, and that the Buckley program did not cave into the protesters, and that the speech was held, and that the event was, I must say, a roaring success. SSS 114 is one of the biggest lecture halls on campus. We filled it to the brim. There were people lining up outside. It was a huge success. Ayan Hersil Lee earned multiple standing ovations, and I assure you there are not enough conservatives on campus for it to have just been conservatives clapping her. So after that event, I could not have been more excited to join the Buckley program, which I did, and I've continued throughout my time at Yale, and has been really an amazing and really important part of my education at Yale over the past 4 years, and for that, I'm so very grateful for everyone in the audience for supporting the program. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexandra Small, and I'm a senior in Yale College studying global affairs and ethics, politics, and economics. And when reflecting on my time as a Buckley Fellow, I'm grateful for the opportunity to attend the Conservative Political Action Conference for the past 3 years, meet leading politicians and scholars, and most especially be exposed to high-level, respectful discourse through our present-day rendition of firing line debates, where guests on opposing sides of issues are invited to debate on topics such as net neutrality, whose rules should shape the internet, and should Britain abandon Brexit. And it's such firing line debates that have elevated political discourse on Yale's campus. I've taken these events as an opportunity to invite friends and professors who share in the majority political view at Yale, and I invite them not only so that they're not shocked and offended that there are other views, but it's also a jumping off point for continued dialogue post-firing line. And it's led, for example, some professors and I to start the tradition of exchanging politically oriented books and articles and doing mini firing line debates where we have to take the alternate perspective to what we truly hold. The Buckley program has thus led not only the fellows, but also a much wider audience to engage with often unvoiced views in a forum characterized by open political discussion and intellectual engagement. And I'd like to thank Lauren Noble in particular for leading this noble cause. Thank you so much for all your work.
Good evening. My name is Leland Stang, and I am a junior in Ezra Stiles College, pursuing a double major in humanities and philosophy. Any Stiles out there, alumni? Maybe a few? Okay. So for the last 3 years, I've had the great pleasure of attending the Buckley Spring Break Seminars. Charles Kessler of Claremont McKenna led a 3-day discussion of the Federalist Papers my freshman year. Thanks, Pranam, for stealing my thunder on freshman there, not first year. But last spring, Patrick Deneen, now famous for Why Liberalism Failed, his recent great book, of Notre Dame, led me and a group of 20 others, ranging from undergraduates to graduate and professional school students, through Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. Next year, I'll be writing my senior thesis on Tocqueville, no doubt inspired in part by my time with Professor Deneen. And finally, just a few weeks ago, Paul Ray of Hillsdale showed us the beauty and sometimes neglected importance of Montesquieu's Spirit of the Laws. These seminars have been my favorite part of Buckley because they put free speech into practice. We often forget that the message of free speech runs hollow without a meaningful exchange of ideas at its end. Furthermore, the seminars are an example of what the true spirit of a university should entail: a safe arena of thoughtful exchange, where students are made equal not through pity, but through their ability to equally engage with one another. Thanks to the generous support of everyone here tonight, a poor kid like me from Tulsa, Oklahoma, the north side, can participate as a full intellectual equal among his wealthier peers. Free books, a generous stipend, and lavish meals while the campus dining halls are closed. Buckley helps to bridge an intellectual wealth gap, one that our honored guest tonight has been unfairly criticized for revealing. And I would even venture to say that it does a better job at that than any other organization at Yale today. So, thanks.
Good evening, welcome. My name is Kevin Swain, and I serve as the Speakers Director for the Buckley program. And I just wanted to say a quick word about how the Buckley program has given many of us fellows the chance to interact and really discuss ideas, things about policy, stuff like that, with our distinguished guests, whether that be one-on-one or in a small group setting in the form of coffee chats or post-event receptions or dinners. And in my 3 semesters as a Buckley Fellow, my peers and I have been fortunate enough to have had these sorts of interactions with, a lot of really bright and interesting guests that the Buckley program has had, including Ben Shapiro, J.D. Vance, Bill Crystal, Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson, Peter Thiel, and Jeb Bush, just to name a few. Actually, at the cocktail hour a few minutes ago, I had the chance to connect with one of these guests, have one of these, great interactions with them. Granted, he's an evil right-wing fascist named Charles Murray, but it was good nonetheless. In all seriousness, these personal interactions have been fruitful and enjoyable for me and many of my peers, and I think it's something that's pretty unique to the Buckley program on campus. Thanks a lot, everyone, for coming tonight.